Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to our. What?
Making you fall asleep, so did I. I woke up and I pressed the button again.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, we're here. Look. Hey, we're live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back.
I'm just teasing.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Here we go. And welcome back to our Sunday night offering of Astronomy Outreach, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. And first of all, I'd like to welcome back our regular co-host, Royal Astronomical Society of Canada member, Mr. Paul Owen from the Moonshadow Observatory in Hampton. Almost got it wrong, but I got it. Almost forgot, yeah. And Mike, yeah. And Mr. Mike Powell from our PFO Observatory here in St. John. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Hey.
And tonight we have another full show planned for you. We're going to start off with our regular segment, What's New in Space This Week, but also tonight we have a very special guest with us, joining us all the way from New Jersey, Royal Astronomical Society of Canada member, Lisa Fanning. Good evening, Lisa.
Yay.
Welcome to the program.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
We're saying hello across the border here tonight. So Lisa is an amateur astronomer and recently joined the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada Halifax chapter, and we're going to talk a little bit to Lisa about what got her started in the hobby and how she came to choose Canadian amateur astronomers to help her on her quest. So we're looking forward to a great discussion there, Lisa. We're also going to have a look at what's new in space this week. Of course, our Rosanna's Fun Fact segment as well, and of course your wonderful photo submissions. And we're hoping to have time tonight. Mike right now has a live view of the Crab Nebula, which is a supernova remnant and a really popular target for winter time for amateur astronomers. And Paul has been imaging NGC 1499, which we call the California Nebula, I guess. So Paul's been capturing that now for a little while this evening, so we're going to hopefully offer that to you as well as we get into later on in the evening, down the pipe a little bit. So, and of course, we'll take all your questions on telescopes and stargazing and more. So sit back and enjoy. Remember, this is a live broadcast, so if you have any questions about the night sky, we're happy to try to answer them here for you. So I guess let's get started with a brief view of what's new in space this week. So that's me, I guess. And I'm going to be a little bit lazy tonight. I'm going to try to offer an interesting clip of NASA's view of what to look for in 2021. And hoping that all of this being shown in the video is actually going to happen this year with the new U.S. administration coming in, and hoping they'll follow through with the funding for these programs. So let's see what happens. So I guess I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to click share. And I'll go to full screen. And I'm going to start off with this little bit of a video that was posted up on NASA's site. So here we go.
Fly me to the moon.
Oh, that's nice music.
It sounds wonderful.
Gets you right there, doesn't it?
The sound of silence.
Yeah.
Let's hope not.
It's a Simon and Garfunkel song, hey?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, that was nice. It was
That
peaceful.
was kind of interesting.
Yes. You know what's interesting about that?
What's that?
Is when you were just a kid, even before we went to the moon, all the shows that you used to watch were about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
You know, and we're actually living some of what we thought we would never see.
Like Buck Rogers in the 25th century, or are you talking like?
No, not so much buck, but
Okay.
but just you know how I was just watching that and watching how you know we're going to be going to Mars because that's going to be the next place where the humans go, and
No,
you
the
know
moon first, I think.
They're
supposed to be going back to the moon first, but
no, but I mean the next place besides the moon because
Oh,
we've
yeah.
already been, so we're going back. But I mean after that, the next place, and I'm just watching those rockets and satellites are sending out and all this stuff, and it just amazes me to look at that and think when I used to watch Star Trek, even in our everyday lives, the cell phone, you know, communicator, right?
Yeah.
You know, the door that opens by itself. We
Yep.
thought would never happen. So the only thing that you can't do on Star Trek that you're pretty much doing today is to get beamed from one place to another.
Mm.
But I suspect that's probably not too far down the road.
Yeah.
Actually, in a lot of ways, we've surpassed Star Trek because we don't have the flip phone anymore, which was their communicator.
Yeah.
And you always saw Spock shoving a 3.5-inch floppy disk into the
That's right.
way past floppy disk.
Yeah. True
And the
enough.
computers aren't as big as the spaceship either. Now they're all
Yeah. True. But I still go around and talk to people like this. Hello. Yeah.
yeah. Nanu,
Yeah.
Nanu.
I lose more and more can Mindy.
Yeah. Loud and clear from St. John. Perfect. Okay, Ray. Hey, Armin. Yeah, I can see a lot of similarities, and I think even like Elon Musk now with what he's doing with Starship, right? I don't know if you've been following that mission, but the last Starship launch, the SN8 launch that he did just a short while ago, last week or the week before, he took it up to 12.5 kilometers, and it came down as a belly flop like this, and then he tried to straighten it out and get it to land, but one of the fuel pressure pumps had quit, and it came down, of course, hard and blew up. But he has SN9 or serial number 9 sitting there right now on the pad, ready to go. SN10 and SN11 are already built inside the high bay at the Boca Chica, Texas facility that he has. So the next one going up is supposed to be a little bit higher up and hopefully landing straight down, which is what they'll have to do when they go to the moon or Mars, is they're going to have to land straight up, right?
Right.
And they're not going to have a platform to take off from like they have with their ones now. So he's also looking at one of the ones, I think 11 maybe or 12. He's going to try to bring it down and have a crane actually reach out and grab it as it sets down, so it's held in place. So it's hard to say, but I mean, he's now the richest man in the world,
Yeah.
$182 billion, and apparently,
Yeah.
And he does say that he's going to take. What's that?
Putin's got more money than him.
Yeah, probably. But he is supposed to invest all of his money back into going to Mars. So I think you're going to see Artemis on the moon and him just shortly after on Mars, I think.
Yeah.
He'll be very close because it's a private company and he's got a lot more money and he doesn't have the red tape that he has to go through with government too, right? But let's hope for NASA. I mean, hopefully all of that they presented here, especially the James Webb, which is supposed to go up in October, I guess, of this year. That's now climbed to $9 billion. It was under 100 million or something when they first looked at it, and it's now $9 billion. And I think it's closed up, though, I think for the final time now, getting ready to be launched. And it's going to go out to like 1 million miles from Earth, so they have to be sure they got it right, because they can't send a mission out, of course, to help it out like they did with the shuttle and Hubble, right? So,
Yeah.
Oh, interesting stuff coming up for sure. It's a good time to be alive.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw from the first moon landings to this stuff, and it's amazing what's happened in the last 50 years. Incredible.
And Armin says rumors are that Apple is working on a new generation flip phone.
Oh, I heard, yeah.
Back to flip phone.
There we go.
What's old
Yep,
is new.
Great big phones down, and then big ones again. All right. So I guess from here we're gonna have a little talk with Lisa. Hey, Lisa. And
All right.
I guess I'm going to mention that our program tonight is being sponsored by.
Yes, it is, but you know what?
Being sponsored by somebody. Those guys that we really like as soon as Paul finds a picture for them.
Yeah, there we go.
And tonight's program is being sponsored by
Learla Nature or Astronomy Plus in Longueuil, Quebec for all of your astronomy needs. Astronomy Plus.
Awesome.
Yay!
Hey. So Lisa, we have a pile of people on here saying hello to you tonight.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. There we go. So again, Lisa's joining us from New Jersey tonight, and Lisa is going to tell us a bit about her story, how she got started in the hobby, I guess, first of all, and then what brought her interest to joining us here in Canada, which we're very happy about. And then she's going to talk to us a little bit about her equipment and possibly the great conjunction that just passed. Lisa did capture a number of photos for that, so she's going to show us those as well. And that big toy there beside her on the left-hand side, we might even talk about that a little bit. There. So Lisa, where would you like to start? Maybe we'll start about how you get started in the hobby. What got your interest in the hobby, first of all?
Yeah, makes sense. So I'm a birder. That's my background. I've been a birder for about 10 years. It's actually how I met my husband, met him in the field in Cape May, New Jersey. And I got bit by a tick, got Lyme disease. So a lot of people know this story in the birding world, but the medication that you go on for Lyme disease gives you sun sensitivities. So unfortunately, I couldn't go hiking. I couldn't do a lot of the things that I loved. So, kind of feeling sorry for myself. One night, my husband said, "Come on, let's take the spotting scope out and take a look at Saturn and Jupiter." He had taken an astronomy course in college and decided he was going to share it with me. And I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. So we didn't have dark skies, and I would sneak up to the roof occasionally in the apartment that I grew up in and take a look at the moon, but couldn't see much more beyond that. So the minute my husband got Saturn in the scope and I saw the rings, that was the hook. That was it for me. Started to get really interested. We turned the scope to the moon. Oh wow, look at the detail on the moon. I needed to know more. So I was definitely in search of something to help me learn more about the moon, learn more about space, learn more about these things that, I always say I only read about in books when I was a kid growing up.
Right.
So went straight to Amazon, and actually this was the book that got me started.
Awesome.
This is John Reed's 50 Things to See on the Moon.
Yep.
I always say I'm a Cancer, so I'm a moon child, definitely drawn to the moon. And that was absolutely, the book, the level of information that I was looking for. So really enjoyed the format of the book. And then I said, all right, let's see what other books he's got. And he's got 50 Things to See with a telescope, and just started going from there. So that was how I got started. But I dabbled probably for about 6 months before I got really hooked.
And it's funny because you mentioned the moon and Saturn, because those are the two targets that are the big wow factor. You guys can justify to that. Those are the ones that are the wow targets at the telescope, right? Every time we do an outreach event, if we have a first quarter moon up, or Saturn with its rings, you got lineups behind you just that you can't deal with them all, and they just, all you hear is oh wow, like just fascinated by it. How many people have looked at the moon every time they go out and look up in the sky, but they've never really looked at it like we have, and it's such a shock for people to see it through a telescope or through binoculars. And now you start to see it as a celestial neighbor, not just as this big white object in the sky. So it's a fascinating way to start for sure.
Yeah, and this is actually the spotting scope that I use. So this is my birding spotting scope.
Okay.
So one of the things that I frequently do, I know you've referenced it here on the show, is Lisa's Lookup. It's a post just telling my birder friends that, hey, you don't really need any special equipment if you're into this. I think with the pandemic, a lot of people were still in search of other opportunities to connect with the outdoors. And for something like astronomy, it's an expensive hobby where you don't know if you want to necessarily like invest in a lot of equipment. Use what you have and get started. A lot of people, I think, are intimidated and say, well, I don't have the right equipment. You don't need that. You just need binoculars or a spotting scope if you have it. For my birding friends, just go out and look up meteor showers. You don't need anything. You need your eyes.
Right.
Go out and enjoy.
There's so much up there to enjoy, and it's very simple, like you said, with your eyes for meteor showers for sure. You don't want any equipment at all, but the simple set of binoculars you can pick up for, I mean, you can pick up a used set for 40 or 50 bucks even now. A lot of people out there have sets that they're not interested in anymore, but they're always something that I throw in the back of the car just to have with me now, just because you never know where you're going to be or what you're going to see, and they're really just two telescopes joined together, and they're nice and lightweight. They give you the proper orientation, so they're a great way to start. And that little scope that you've got there too is a great start. The spotting scope, yeah. So does that have a zoom lens on it as well? Is it a zoom spotting scope?
It does. It's 20 to 65.
2065,
yeah. Most of 20 to 60, excuse me. Most of the work I do, probably, like, as far as, well, the photographs that I've showed before about the conjunction, I did at 20x. I did that
Right.
just to keep a relative consistency. But as far as like zooming in on Saturn and getting some detail in the rings, you take it to about 30, 35. You can see some of that detail.
Right.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Awesome.
I guess that's one of the good things about starting with the planets, especially being where you are, is whether you're around a lot of light or not. It doesn't really matter because the planets are bright and you can see them whether you're in a dark sky or not.
Right.
So that's probably a big advantage, I guess, for you, is it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very limited being here in New Jersey. I'm halfway between Philadelphia and New York City, so I'm about an hour out from each of those cities. So as you can imagine, a lot of light pollution, of course. So back in July, during the pandemic, we were so limited in what we can do, and having Lyme disease and having these health issues, obviously I'm being very conservative with what I do. So much more conservative lockdown even than some of the restrictions that we have here. That's when I said, I want to do something different. And so the beginning of July is when NeoEyes appeared. So that was a big hook for me.
Yeah,
sure.
So my husband and I would drive down to the beach because we're about 20 minutes out from the Jersey Shore. We would drive down to the beach at 3 a.m. We only got stopped by police once, which was interesting. But what are you doing? We're looking at a comet. Want to take a look? So that was the hook. I really, when I said, all right, I need to do something with this. I have this curiosity. I definitely need more. So ironically enough, I reached out to John Reed. We were connected on Instagram, and I said, any ideas for something? I'm totally new to this, have no background whatsoever. And he happened to be teaching Explore the Universe with Jenna Hines. I think it was a few classes in, and he said, just watch them on YouTube, jump in, you're good to go. And I loved it. I mean, I absolutely was, found myself standing I don't know if I should admit this, but standing in the middle of the cemetery near our house in the middle of the night, just to see some
You do what you
sky
gotta
objects.
do. Jenna Hines, of course, is the RASCA National Outreach Coordinator. So yeah.
So, I mean, they were wonderful. Dave Chapman from Rask Halifax have all been wonderful to me, helping me get started and answering my questions along the way. And I actually did get that Explore the Universe certificate, and now
Awesome.
I'm working on Explore the Moon.
that's
So.
great.
Great stuff. Yeah. So that's how
So
you get started. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I-
So go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say you also have accomplished something that a lot of us who get into this hobby haven't done, and especially with our picture taking and stuff, and we like to get into our local, or actually our Canadian national magazine, which Rask puts out. And I hear that you're in it.
Ta-da.
Yay!
Yes. I was actually, I was so enthusiastic about Explore the Universe that Jenna said that she had shared my story with the folks at her staff meeting, I believe it was. And she said, I just love your enthusiasm about this. So they asked me to write a little piece. So I did write a little piece called The Ripple Effect. And it talks about how this young girl grew up in Brooklyn, never, just reading books and having no idea what she was going to see in the sky, thanks to a bunch of people in Canada that she's never met, namely an author who started this whole riddle.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
I'm from Canada, and I haven't even made it into Sky News yet.
There you go.
I'll see
I
what I can
guess it shows, Lisa, that you start out slowly, and you take an interest in the night sky, and then there's a lot of people on here that with us, I guess, that have the same interest, but they just don't know how to get started, and it's very intimidating, of course, at first. I guess, like most hobbies, some hobbies you get into, there may be people that might not reach out a helping hand as often, but I find in this hobby here, there's so many people that you can draw on, and they've all been there, and they all realize that, and it's a very humbling hobby. I think it's the humility of looking up and seeing the universe as we see it, that it becomes very humbling for you. So then you're very easily being able to pass on information to others for that reason, maybe. Maybe that's part of it, I don't know. But I've kind of accepted that part myself, that even when I started out, it was very, very difficult to get started. All of us can attest the same thing. The discouragement that you have, the frustration, the cloudy nights, just trying to experience, some of the stuff that you want to experience. But there's such a nice bond of people in this particular hobby that I find that, yeah. So
I tell people by no means am I an expert whatsoever, but it's just a matter of knowing where to find the information. I mean, there are a lot of great YouTube channels out there. I keep talking about John, so I'll plug his Learn to Stargaze. He does a lot of great programs about how to do imaging and what to look for, in the seasonal sky. Ask questions, find groups like Astronomy by the Bay. People are more than willing to help, certainly. It is very humbling because at first, when you're going into a new hobby, you think, well, they're just going to dismiss me. But I didn't find that at all. I found everybody was so willing to help. And I think, that's one of the great things that came out of the pandemic is the fact that we've all come together online. And I think we are all craving community. So there are some benefits that came out of this. And I do hope that a lot of the online opportunities, especially as somebody who was sick for quite a few years, I always said I feel like Cinderella and everybody else is at the ball, because I felt like I was missing out on a lot of those opportunities. But now a lot of that stuff is online, so we can all partake in it.
Right. And it doesn't have to stop once we are able to all get back together again, too. There's so many shut-ins out there, too. Like there are those who can't join us at the beach, for instance, or join us at an outreach event that can share this type of thing, or we can share live views, too. And we're really interested in getting back to that mode again as well, even classroom talks and that type of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for doing that.
Yeah, pleasure. So you guys, any more questions?
Well, I got a quick one.
There you go.
Now,
I knew you would have.
We spotted the hand controller in the view there earlier. I'd just like to have you explain what you got there for a new toy and how you got it.
So this is a new old toy. This is an Orion SkyQuest XT10. So because I had been doing some of my Lisa's lookup posts, one of a very good friend of ours who we know through the birding community, and we've birded with him extensively, and he's come to some of the events that we've organized for birding, saw these posts and said, you're really passionate about this. And, I have a telescope in my garage that I use with my children. They've since grown up and it's just sitting in my garage. Why don't you come and get it? Because I know that you're passionate about this and you'll enjoy it. So this is my new toy. This is my goal for 2021. It is a go-to. Have no idea how to use it yet. So I'll be playing with that and probably picking some of your brains. But definitely interested in doing some more deep sky object work for 21. So
I'll tell you, when you look at Saturn and Jupiter through that, you're going to see a whole different scene than what you see through your critics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'll be thrilled with that for sure.
Yeah.
And if it's able to be used without GoTo, it's good too, because you can find targets manually with that as well, right? So
yeah. I also want to find out too, Lisa. You had mentioned that you joined an astronomy club in your area, which is great. And I think based on the experiences we've had over the few years we've been doing this, doesn't matter where you go, people are pretty much the same. So you're probably going to hook into a lot of people that are first of all going to be like, oh, can I help you adjust that telescope? Because it's a 10-inch mirror, and with that, you're going to see so much.
Right.
But do you have any expectations yet? I know you haven't done much with your club because you haven't really gotten into it. You're just sort of getting introduced. But what are you expecting that you'd like to get out of your club?
I know they do a lot of local meetups. So this is the Astronomy Club out of Princeton, New Jersey. They do meet every Friday night, every clear Friday night when we don't have a pandemic, of course. They do have monthly meetings online, so I'll be attending my first meeting on Tuesday. Looking forward to that.
Awesome.
I am still very active. I shouldn't say still, because I've only been a member of RASC Halifax since July, but I've become very active with RASC Halifax. So I attend those meetings, those monthly meetings as well. And I've also been recruited to become co-editor of the newsletter. So I'll be doing layout for the Nova Notes.
Oh,
so excited about that.
Congratulations.
Any way that I can give back. I feel like it's really important that when people help you, it's very important to pay it forward. So.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome.
No.
We got to drag you into the St. John Astronomy Club now.
We have virtual meetings now, so
You do.
yeah. So maybe you'd like to show us your Great Conjunction photos. We'd love to see those, and these are captured through your spotting scope, right?
They are.
Okay. So did we go over how to share? Or are you familiar with Google Meets, guys? I don't think we did that at first, did we? There's a present now button down on the bottom right. There you go. You're in.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Can you see that?
There we go. Yeah.
I'm gonna pin that so we can. There we go.
So I think this has been shared in various forms. I know I've shared it with you, Chris, and you've showed it on the show. But I did put together a compilation of every clear night that I had in December. So I was pretty lucky here in New Jersey, considering I know that my friends up in Halifax didn't quite have the same luck. But the first night that I was able to get them in the same scope view was the 5th of December. Mm-hmm. So you could see they're touching the edges there of the view. And then you can see them coming together. And I highlighted the conjunction here on the 21st, so you could see how close they were. And then I continued with catching them drifting apart. So wasn't able to get much beyond the 29th, unfortunately. Tonight I also missed the conjunction as well because it was too low over the tree line. But this was, every night I looked forward to logging off of work, and this was my little hour of therapy.
It's
awesome.
It's amazing when you can look at that, right? So this is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
These two planets getting closer together. Awesome capture.
I loved how you carried on afterwards as well. It just didn't stop the conjunction. You showed them getting further and further apart as well.
Yeah, it was exciting. I did also take some video, so I'm going to attempt the whole, stacking. And again, I'm new to that, but I was able to capture one good image of Saturn with the rings. Good for me, not by most standards, but so I'm going to play around with those images and see what I could come up with and see if I could get anything good out of that. But
so let's see, 5,
really
10,
enjoyed it.
5, 10, 15. 19 out of 31 days in December. I'm moving to New Jersey. Close, guys.
I have to warn you, the taxes.
What was that?
The taxes are a little too high, though.
Oh, you haven't been to Canada, have you? Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Well, it's rare that you've got that many clear nights to be able to get that. So you're very, very fortunate.
Some of them was just taking pictures in between the clouds. So, if I was lucky, some nights I was lucky to get a minute with it.
Yeah. Well, up here where we are, I think we've had 2 or 3 sunny days in a month. And a total cloud. So yeah, you're fortunate. We're sitting there going, oh boy, thank gosh Lisa's doing this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have one shot at it. That was about it.
And the good thing was I figured out I could set up my spotting scope from my upstairs bedroom window, so I didn't even have to freeze to do this.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
We're learning things here.
The teeny tiniest observatory. Awesome.
That's right. Great.
That's
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank you.
So, is there any questions online? I know Lisa's got a lot of people cheering her on.
A lot of
Which
people
is-
saying hello. Timothy Brown says Lisa's just plain awesome. One of my favorite all-time people.
Hey, Tim. Thank you. These are my birding buddies.
Oh, there you go. Maribel Rodriguez also loves
Welcome
Lisa.
to our show.
Welcome to our show. Yeah. Thanks for bringing them in.
We got them hooked now.
Absolutely. I'll just get you to click stop presenting there, Lisa. We'll get
Okay.
you back on. We can get this back to see you there again. There we go. Perfect.
Good.
Okay. Well, that was awesome. It's a great story, and it's a story that all of us, maybe not in the same path, but we've all taken a separate path in this hobby, and it's so easy to get started in it, and it's very, very addictive. Who is it on here that said though? Lisa, be careful. They are bad boys. David Smart said that. Thanks, David. Thanks for that vote of confidence.
Exactly.
No, it's a fabulous hobby, and this is something that you can do by yourself. And you can spend a lot of time on your own, just and you can branch in so many different directions. Paul in astrophotography, Mike with the equipment, rebuilding equipment. Just me, I do a lot of outreach itself. So there's so many different directions, and you can be just on your own, enjoying the hobby as well. Trying to, like you said, trying to improve yourself with certificates along the way, and give yourself a pat in the back every time you look up and you can say, hey, there's Saturn right there. I know that's Saturn because it's sitting in, and learning the constellations, it's not that hard. The sky never changes in our lifetime, so we've got lots of time to pick it up, so it's not something you have to cram and get hard into. It's just something that kind of flows freely as you learn, right? So it's great that you're sharing with other people already, so it's fantastic.
I love it, and people are appreciative. So my
Yeah.
takeaway is don't be intimidated. Just
Yep.
just meet new people and
Oh, yeah.
ask questions. I mean, we're all beginners at some point. So
It's so addictive when you get those people looking through your scope and you have a big smile because they've got a big smile. So you've done good. Yeah, that's great. That's what hooks you on outreach. So. Sorry, Mike.
No, all right. I was going to say we all got big smiles, but nobody can see it because it's dark.
Yeah. Well, it might be a good thing sometimes.
when you're out doing outreach or when you're out doing star parties, they don't see you anyway. You hear all these voices, but you never see a face.
No,
Never see it.
You get started, and it's kind of neat. Yeah, Lisa mentioned before something when we were having a little chat about how everybody welcomed her with the same enthusiasm because she wasn't sure because of of your status coming in and that. But realistically, I guess it's kind of like what we just talked about a second ago. It's like everybody's in the dark, and we're all looking up at one thing, and it doesn't matter who you're with, you're just with them, right? And it's awesome. So yeah, so when you said that, I think kind of rang a bell for me.
Yeah, it's a hobby meant for all ages for sure, and all education levels. So, and we're all looking at the same moon. We're all looking up. So it's something we can share right across the planet, right? Especially in times like this, for sure. The camaraderie is great. Thank you, Lisa, for that. Really appreciate it. All right, we're going to continue on with the show as we're going to take a look maybe right now at just a couple of photo submissions. Then Paul's going to give us our Rosannas. Actually, Paul, do you want to do your Rosannas talk first?
I was going to offer up a chicken coop salute to Lisa.
Lisa,
Yeah, please.
chicken coop salute. I think she deserves that. Yes, absolutely.
thank you.
And Jamil would say up at Bucktoosh, you're our first American egg.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay. Paul's going to bring us his Rosanna's Fun Facts this week.
he's going to try. He's going to try. Oh, okay, let's see if I can pull this off. Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to pin your topic here, Paul.
Okay.
You're not. Oh, bring you up first of all. There you go. Now we can pin you. There we go.
Am I good to go?
You're good to go.
All right.
We're all set for
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Yay!
Hey, well, welcome back, Rosanna. We missed you last week, and we're sorry we didn't get you on, but this week, here we are, and we are glad to have you back. So this week with Rosanna's Fun Fact, this one is actually kind of, as it always is with her, very timely. So, so she writes, I'll kind of start it off because she gave me some videos and stuff that I kind of had to sew together and put in. So she says, hi, Paul, and you can add in the music at the end, which I'm going to. I had trouble putting things in this email for whatever reason, so a couple will be found attached here and there. And what we're going to talk about is solstice. So so she starts off with, now see if I can find if my videos will work correctly, and we'll see. They're all good. They're going to work. Good. Okay. Isn't that something? You look so sad today. Yeah, I'm sad every day. I just didn't have the energy to hide it today. So once we moved back to Canada from the southern and eastern states, from the U.S., my mom began to suffer from SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder. This is such a common disorder that the doctors joke it's catching for Canadians, and especially those living above the 49th parallel. However, fun fact alert, according to brilliantmaps.com, roughly 72% of Canadians actually live below the 49th parallel. I did not know that. One way Mom dealt with this was to mark the days of the calendar until the winter solstice, knowing that it would bring the beginning of longer days, if only in tiny increments. Psychologically, it was a positive approach. However, we also noticed that the sunrise and the sunset did not match what we expected with the solstice each year. It seemed the darkness actually lasted longer for about a week or more each time before we noticed any difference. This, in the olden days, before to time, date, and .com, and I'm just going to put that on the thing because if you guys want to ever look that up, it's called timeanddate.com, and there's all kinds of cool stuff on there you can find. Anyway, so before we noticed, with this, the olden days before time, date, and .com, and Google made it easy to check out the time of the sunrise. So in a way, it was darker through technically not a longer, darker day, if you're counting the minutes, but for people getting up in the morning to head out to jobs or get the children off to school or feed the chickens, the sunrise is actually later and stays later until January the 9th, according to time and date. The extra half minute or minute that the sunset is earlier each day isn't as noticeable to humans as it is in the waiting for the day to brighten with the sunrise. So what actually happens on the solstice? Now I'm going to see if I can pull this off. That kind of come up? No? Darn. There it is. All right. So so we can see what happened. I got to roll down again here. So pardon my French just for a moment. There we go. So so in school we learned, or hopefully it was taught, that on December the solstice, the sun appears directly over the Tropic of Capricorn, a line of latitude 23.5 degrees south of Earth's equator. It's as far south as the sun ever gets before starting its 6-month journey northward again. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we see the sun take its lowest and shortest path across the southern sky, which is why it's dark for a good portion of the day. The reason we have solstice, and seasons is because the Earth doesn't orbit the sun completely upright. Instead, our planet is tilted, like you see on this diagram, on an axis by about 23.5 degrees, which means one hemisphere receives more of the sun's light and energy at different times of the year. So I'm going to hope this next one will pop up. We'll see. Perfect. The Northern Hemisphere picked below. So see, the solstice marks the shortest day of the year. It is never the day with the latest sunrise or the earliest sunset. So why does the sun not rise immediately earlier each day after the solstice? So so you can see here with this chart, if I get my mouse to work, there it is. You can see the days between the earliest sunset and the latest sunrise, and they all appear differently depending on where you are. So let me see if I can get the next slide. There we go. I like it when she sends these because I like reading them, just like when I was a kid looking at cartoons. Here comes the sun. Hey, Earth, I'm on my way to give you a kiss. Ah, that really warms my heart and my surface. Please stop. So it's getting obviously very close. We're into summer. So equation of time, or the apparent solar time, and mean solar time. So the equation of time is the difference between the measured using a sundial, also known as true or apparent solar time, and the time measured using a clock, also known as mean solar time, is it is often pictorially represented by a figure 8 known as an analemma. So I'm going to show you a short video of an analemma, and so it'll give you an explanation of all these things we were just talking about. See if I can pull this off. There's no sound with this. Well, there is. Hopefully you can hear it.
Suppose you placed a camera at a fixed position, took a picture of the sky at the same time every day for an entire year, and overlaid all of the photos on top of each other. What would the sun look like in that combined image? A stationary dot? A circular path? Neither. Oddly enough, it makes this figure 8 pattern, known as the Suns Analemma. But why? The Earth's movement creates a few cycles. First of all, it rotates on its axis about once every 24 hours, producing sunrises and sunsets. At the same time, it's making a much slower cycle, orbiting around the sun approximately every 365 days. But there's a twist. Relative to the plane of its orbit, the Earth doesn't spin with the North Pole pointing straight up. Instead, its axis has a constant tilt of 23.4 degrees. This is known as the Earth's axial tilt, or obliquity. A 23-degree tilt may not seem important, but it's the main reason that we experience different seasons. Because the axis remains tilted in the same direction while the Earth makes its annual orbit, there are long periods each year when the northern half of the planet remains tilted toward the sun, while the southern half is tilted away, and vice versa. What we experience as summer and winter. During summer, in a given hemisphere, the sun appears higher in the sky, making the days longer and warmer. Once a year, the sun's declination, the angle between the equator and the position on the Earth where the sun appears directly overhead, reaches its maximum. This day is known as the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, and the one day where the sun appears highest in the sky. So the Earth's axial tilt partially explains why the sun changes positions in the sky, and the analemma's length represents the full 46.8 degrees of the sun's declination throughout the year. But why is it a figure 8 and not just a straight line? This is due to another feature of the Earth's revolution, its orbital eccentricity. The Earth's orbit around the sun is an ellipse, with its distance to the sun changing at various points. The corresponding change in gravitational force causes the Earth to move fastest in January, when it reaches its closest point to the sun, the perihelion, and the slowest in July, when it reaches its farthest point, the aphelion. The Earth's eccentricity means that solar noon, the time when the sun is highest in the sky, doesn't always occur at the same point in the day. So a sundial may be as much as 16 minutes ahead or 14 minutes behind a regular clock. In fact, clock time and sun time only match 4 times a year. The analemma's width represents the extent of this deviation. So how did people know the correct time years ago? For most of human history, going by the sun's position was close enough. But during the modern era, the difference between sundials and mechanical clocks became important. The equation of time, introduced by Ptolemy and later refined based on the work of Johann Kepler, converts between apparent solar time and the mean time we've all come to rely on. Globes even used to have the analemma printed on them to allow people to determine the difference between clock time and solar time based on the day of the year. Just how the analemma appears depends upon where you are. It'll be tilted at an angle depending on your latitude, or inverted if you're in the southern hemisphere. And if you're on another planet, you might find something completely different. Depending on that planet's orbital eccentricity and axial tilt, the analemma might appear as a teardrop, oval, or even a straight line.
So that explains an analemma and all of that wonderful stuff. So set your alarm clock and play. Here comes. All right, now let's see if I can finish this off because it went so well. Do you think we can do it, folks? Do you think you can do it? And that was this week's. Oh my God.
Waiting. Almost had it.
Yeah, close. Oh, he kicked himself off because of it.
Oh, poor Paul.
Oh, man.
He'll come back.
Oh, yeah. That's hilarious. It would be nice if we could get a sunny day every day to get that picture once a day.
Wouldn't it be nice?
You're lucky to get a picture a month of the sun, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it's been bad. We've had bad weather. That was awesome, though. That was a nice presentation.
Yeah.
And I know Paul's going to come back to us. I hope he is, anyway.
Well, you know, Rosanna, she never ceases to amaze us. She comes up with some interesting stuff.
Yeah. Awesome, every time. Mike, you've got a... Okay, I'm going to go ahead, I guess, while we're waiting for Paul to come back. Maybe I should wait for Paul to come back first. See if he's going to come back and join us. There he comes.
Sure.
Hey! We missed you. Almost. You're that close. You're that close.
Beep-a-dee-beep-a-dee. Folks.
Yeah, beep-a-dee-beep. Oh, that was awesome.
It was a great fun fact. I really enjoyed that. It answers a lot of questions for me because, I mean, you know, you see these things, but, you know, as there's so many things going on in the astronomy world, a lot of things you take for granted, and that was one of the ones for me. So
Absolutely.
That was awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Rosanna.
Thank you, Rosanna. And thanks, Paul, for ending that up for us very nicely. Okay, let's get to a few photos, and then we've got a couple of live views. We still got 10 minutes or so to go, so I'm going to go quickly through the photos that we've got this week. Right here. Okay, share. And here, I'll click up a few. Hang on a second. Get my mouse across my 5 monitors here. Find out where it went. There it is. Okay. We're going to start off with this one from Renate. She says, inspired by Astronomy by the Bay guided sightings of the 3 planets in the southwestern sky in New Brunswick this weekend. Here's another painting in my Moonlight art series. She calls it Dance of the Giants, Pull Up the Moon. 18 by 24 inch acrylic on canvas by Renate. Awesome, Renate. These are awesome paintings that you show us here.
That's fantastic.
And she's going to, I think she said she was going to donate the next 10 paintings to our next moon contest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. Woo! I'm just kidding. Sorry. I don't know who took this one, but I had to grab this one too from Mr. Owen's page. Paul says, my final version and first astro image of 2021. The fish head nebula, I guess. IC 1795 is an emission nebula in Cassiopeia. The fish head portion is 70 light years across and some 6,000 light years from Earth. It is the outermost portion of the Heart Nebula. That's not in Cygnus either, is it? I'm amazed.
It is not.
Wow.
Beautiful.
See, there is other stuff in the sky. That's a nice shot.
Right.
Amazing, Paul. Very, very well done. And then we'll have to go back to Mike now, I guess, too. So, Mike Powell, the last moon of 2020. Well, I didn't get a whole lot of photo submissions this week, so I'm sharing a few that I had found along my way. So, Mike's last moon of 2020 here.
Yeah.
And his first moon of 2021.
Wow.
He says,
I purposely made 2021 look better because it's got to be better than 2020.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty sharp.
It's an amazing improvement. What a great way to start the year, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were taken about a minute apart.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Right at midnight.
I can see the difference. Yeah, already. We're heading the right direction.
That's a New York man.
He said, let's put the last year behind us and shoot for the moon in 2021. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we're going to spin from there to Trudy. Trudy sent us in a couple. Well, actually, she gave me a couple shot for my wide field certificate in November 18th of 2020. The Triangulum and Aries together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
They picked them out of all.
One of the most famous galaxies is up in there too.
Triangulum Galaxy.
The Triangulum Galaxy in the constellation. It's amazing. It's probably one of the more photographed ones that are out there. So
It is, yeah, very, very pretty. She got this one too, shot from my wide field certificate, August 13th, the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper.
Little Dipper, yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
Nice capture. So yeah, the Little Dipper is really hard to find for a lot of people, but can't really see all the stars. And if you see all the stars in Little Dipper, you know you got a pretty dark sky. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she sent me this one in the 4 and 1 of the sunrise on October the 4th, 2020,
Yeah.
between
Gorgeous.
7:23 and 7:26. That's at a place called Split Rock down towards the suburbs of St. Martin's.
It's an inside joke. I don't know.
Yeah, in that direction anyway.
For those people who aren't familiar with us, this is on our coastline, on our Fundy coast.
It's an amazing spot. Yeah, if you get the timing just right, like she did, this is what you can capture.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And Robert Gadet said this one, or actually I got this one from Robert, this summer flashbacks, he says. So this is the kind of sky I'm looking forward to again, as soon as we can get to it.
That was actually from the Burbs in St. Martin's, eh?
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
The St. Martin's Burbs, yeah.
Look how that prancing horse stands out, though. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is, Lisa? The prancing pony?
Yeah. The print. No.
Want to show her that, Chris? Because this is something you can see when you get out.
Yeah, right here. Right?
Ah, okay.
It looks like a horse on its side.
Yeah, on the
I
side,
see that.
Kind of sitting down, yeah.
So it's called the prancing pony. And if you zoom back out on that, Chris, for a minute.
Yeah.
If you ever want to see that, that's on the Milky Way, the southernmost portion, and his hoof points right down to our Antares.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so Antares is a big orange, beautiful star, and it's around a lot of cool things too. And when you photograph that, it's one of the most spectacular things you'll ever see.
Yeah.
So so anytime you're looking south, you see the Milky Way going down. Look for the prancing pony.
Prancing pony.
Yeah.
He's there.
I don't quite get these views in New Jersey, but I'll have to come up.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And from there, we're going to go to Julie Burton. Took this one tonight. She actually sent me this just as I was at the beach, St. Trust Beach, trying to capture this myself. I didn't get much of a shot, but she got Jupiter here from tonight's shot from Redhead, just on the east side of the city. So, so that's all she was able to capture. So they were pretty low there tonight. I know that.
Can we zoom in a little bit?
I'm going to try here.
I was going to say, because if Jupiter's that high, they should be pretty close. Just don't pick them out.
I think it's just Saturn was very, very dim. And Mercury is now just climbing up from the horizon. So over the next a week or so, it's going to be it's at its greatest eastern elongation very soon. So it's going to get higher in the sky. So we're going to be able to pick up Mercury while these two drift away. So it was pretty tough there with the sunset for sure.
Yeah.
I want to get away from these quickly so we can get. This is my capture from the beach. So I didn't get much. This is actually above the beach. So there's the Colson Cove. And I was down, it should have been down in this area. That's not Jupiter there. That's too high at that time. Anyway.
Yeah, nice.
But,
I love that color, the sky. That's my favorite time. If you're ever driving on the highway
Yeah.
and it's getting dark, and there's no lights on the highway where you are, and the sky looks like that, and you're cresting a big mountain.
Yes.
And on the very top, when you see that, it's just so surreal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of the night.
And if you want to send in your photos, we'd love to get them at Sunday Night Astronomy Show at gmail.com. That's the address to send them. Please send them in. We love sharing your photos here. So I'm going to go back now, get out of this quickly because we got a couple of live shots here to show, guys. And we're at about 8:56. So let's bring up something. One of you guys, either the Crab or California Nebula, either one.
Mike would be best.
Okay. Mike's going to bring us up a live view of the Crab Nebula,
All right.
which is what we call Messier 1.
Should start coming up on the screen there soon, and we'll just zoom in a little bit.
Okay. Awesome. So this is the mess that's left behind when a star explodes. The Crab Nebula is the result of a supernova that was seen in 1054 AD. It's filled with mysterious filaments, as we can see. The filaments are not only tremendously complex, but appear to have less mass than expelled in the original supernova, and at a higher speed than expected from a free explosion. The Crab Nebula spans about 10 light years. Wow, that's huge. Of course, 1 light year is 10 trillion kilometers. In the nebula's very center lies a pulsar. It's a neutron star that's as massive as the sun, but with only the size of it's as massive as the sun, but with only the size of a small town. Now, the Crab pulsar rotates at 30 times per second. I can't even imagine that. A star rotating at 30 times per second.
Yeah.
It's just unreal. Crab Nebula catalog number M1 or NGC 1952 is a supernova remnant and pulsar wind nebula in the constellation of Taurus. The common name comes from William Parsons, who observed the object in 1840 using a 36-inch telescope and produced a drawing that looks somewhat like a crab. It was discovered by English astronomer John Bevis in 1731, and it corresponds with a bright supernova recorded by Chinese astronomers back in 1054.
Can you put that up to 100%, Mike?
What's that?
Can you put that up to 100%?
You're going to embarrass me now because she'll start looking bloated.
No, you got some detail going on there now.
I'm going to pin it so you can get a little bit better there.
That looks great.
Yeah, that's nice.
Wow. Looking at the intertwinement of all those filaments and.
The nebula was the first astronomical object identified that corresponds with a historical supernova explosion.
Wow.
At an apparent magnitude of 8.4, comparable to that of Saturn's moon Titan, it is not visible to the naked eye, but can be made out using binoculars under favorable conditions. The nebula lies in the Perseus arm of the Milky Way galaxy at a distance of about 6,500 light years from Earth. Now, it has a diameter of about 11 light years, corresponding to an apparent diameter of some 7 arc minutes, and is expanding at the rate of about 1,500 kilometers per second, or about 0.5% of the speed of light.
Wow.
Again, at the center of it is Crab pulsar, a neutron star that's only 28 to 30 kilometers across, with a spin rate of about 30.2 times per second, which emits pulses of radiation from gamma rays to radio waves. At X-ray and gamma ray energies above 30 keV, the Crab Nebula is generally the brightest persistent gamma ray source in the sky. The nebula's radiation allows detailed study of celestial bodies that occult it, and that's about it. Fantastic view, Mike.
That's really, it's amazing that we're watching that right as we speak.
That's live.
Live, yeah.
Yeah, there's 60-second images, but I think I'm over 100 stacks now.
Yeah, but the colors that are in that are beautiful.
I have to see what we can draw out a little later.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we're watching that, yeah, it's expanding at 1,500 kilometers per second as we're watching it.
Is this the best time of year to see it? I know obviously it's in Taurus, but is this the peak?
This is one of the, probably the best time. Now maybe another month or so. Orion comes up pretty early now in the evenings. I think it was at the beach at 6 o'clock, and it was coming up like quite visible right then. So
The scope, I think, is virtually pointed straight up,
okay,
which is the best. There's the least amount of moisture, the least amount of stuff in the sky. So the higher, closer you get to straight up, the better it's going to be.
yeah, that's an awesome capture, Mike.
Yeah, it is.
So Renate says at 30 times per second, star rotation. Hummingbirds flap their wings at 10 to 15 times per second, so twice as fast as a hummingbird flaps his wings. Wow,
Wow.
that's a star. It's 30 kilometers across. It's rotating that quickly. I guess it's unfathomable. Like just
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, if I blow it out too much.
It's that was the first Messier object, was it not?
It was, yeah, M1. That's right. Charles Messier, of course, he's the guy who named all these, right? M1, M2, M3. He was a comet hunter. He liked to look for comets, so he'd find these fuzzy patches in the sky, and to be sure that he'd watch them to see if they had moved night after night, and they didn't. So he said, well, that's a cloudy patch, so I'm going to call that cloudy patch number 1, or not a comet number 1, not a comet number 2.
Yeah.
And then, of course, later on, as we get better telescopes, we learned what they really were. So
They call it the crab, but I think if I'm looking right, you look, there's a circle here would be the body, and then the filaments coming out would be the legs.
mm-hmm.
That's the closest I can see to a crab.
Yeah. Kind of looks like one that was dropped from a seagull.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Seagull Splat Nebula.
Prime king crab.
Hey, makes more sense than a wild duck.
Yes, for sure. Okay, maybe we can quickly go to the California Nebula. Paul, you've got that. Mike, if you don't mind, that was awesome.
Okay. Well, what I'm
we're
doing,
into 9:05 right now, so we want to go a few more minutes. So
what I'm doing with that is I'm not live stacking. I'm just imaging it.
right.
But I can show you an unbayered picture, which is a gray picture of what I'm actually imaging.
Okay.
And I'll try to do that for y'all. And wait for the screen thing to pop out of my way. And oh, it just went dark. Let me just open that up again. Okay, so there it is. So I'm imaging that. That's one image out of 100 that I'm going to be taking. And right now I've got about 50 of them so far, but you're only seeing one at a time with this software. But that is a good portion of the California Nebula, and it gets its name because it's shaped very much like the state of California. And it's, excuse me, it's an emission nebula. And so this is all, the majority of this is all in hydrogen alpha, other than the stars in the background. So I'm shooting this in hydrogen alpha tonight to get all that nice, glorious red nebulosity out. Then I'll shoot it again in broadband, which is basically just like without a filter, just capturing the sky as we see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just put the two together, so we'll be able to get the nice, beautiful colors from the stars. And then that emission nebula will just pop right out. That's my goal. Whether or not we get that or not is another thing. But that is, so that's called the California Nebula.
Awesome. I'm going to a couple of notes that NASA had on their site. They're drifting through the Orion arm of the spiral Milky Way galaxy. Well, bring her back up, Paul.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to look at your face. I want to look at the picture. Gee.
I'm in the Brothers Nebula. Come on.
We'll share again for another minute.
Okay, sure thing. There you go.
That's too nice not to share. There. Drifting through the Orion arm of the spiral Milky Way galaxy, this cosmic cloud, by chance, echoes the outline of California on the west coast of the United States. Our own sun also lies within the Milky Way's Orion arm, only about 1,500 light years from the California Nebula. Only, just around the corner. Also known as NGC 1499, this classic emission nebula is around 100 light years long. 100 light years long, like that's crazy. On many images, the most prominent glow of the California Nebula is the red light characteristic of hydrogen atoms recombining with long-lost electrons, stripped away or ionized by energetic starlight. in this image, when it's finished, hydrogen would be colored green, while sulfur is mapped to red and oxygen mapped to blue. Now, the star most likely providing the energetic starlight that ionizes much of the nebular glass is the bright, hot, bluish Xi Persei, just outside the right of the image there at the edge. A regular target for astrophotographers, the California Nebula can be spotted with a wide-field telescope under dark sky toward the constellation of Perseus, not far from the Pleiades. Now, the California Nebula is an emission nebula, and so it's named because it resembles the outside, the edge of the U.S. state of California. Awesome. That's an amazing shot. Then that's going to be some amazing shot once you finish that up. I know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
That'll be quality. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to try to.
Thanks, Paul. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, I guess we're into, we're at 9:07 now, so I guess we'll probably sign off, guys, for the evening.
Time
Yes.
flies when you're having fun.
What's that?
Time flies when you're having
Time
fun.
flies? That's sure. There we go, full screen. There we go. That's what I want to be. All right, so in closing tonight, again, our special thanks for your continued support here. Chicken coop salute to Lisa. Thanks so much for joining us, Lisa.
Thank you.
And sharing your story with us. We hope you'll consider coming back with us again. Sometime as you can inform us on your accomplishments as you work your way through the hobby here and follow along this wonderful path of learning. Thanks again to Rosanna for her continued contributions to our show. We really appreciate it, Rosanna. Thank you as well to all the great folks at Astronomy Plus for sponsoring our program. And remember, too, we do love getting your photos, so send them into Sunday Night Astronomy Show at gmail.com, and we'll be happy to include them on the broadcast, or send them into my Facebook page if you like as well. We're also looking for suggestions for topics for future shows, so if you have anything that you would like us to discuss on a future episode, we get tired of coming up with ideas here, so we'd like to have your ideas, and we want you coming back, and that's why. So please send your request to the same address, Sunday Night Astronomy Show at gmail.com, and we'll do our best to make it happen for you. We also like to say that if you enjoyed the content here tonight and you joined us from YouTube, please consider giving us a like and subscribing to our channel. And please let your friends and family know that we are here every Sunday night at the same time to help educate and entertain you on the night sky. So for now then, from Lisa and Paul and Mike and I, stay safe everyone out there. We wish you all clear skies, and we hope to see you again here next week. And remember, as we like to say, Lisa, what we like to say, keep your scopes pointed up.
Pointed up.
Point it up.
Have a great
Thank
week,
you,
everyone.
gentlemen.
Good night.
Bye.
Right.